All right, guys, I want to start off by first thanking you guys for all your efforts with the people who have been affected by Hurricane Florence. I think it's been tremendous. Your coverage has been great. Joe and I had a good conversation the other day, and very thankful that he would call me and ask me about that. As you guys know, that's very dear to me. I'm thinking about the people around the state, but after spending 3 years at Wilmington and being able to talk to some of those folks and to hear some of the stories that's going on, and it's tough. And I really appreciate you guys, and I know a lot of you guys have been on the front line with that. We'll continue to support as a basketball program in the university. Our prime time with the PAC on October 19th, we will make it some type of hurricane relief effort and try to donate that money towards something else. But it's big, and I would ask you to continue to keep those guys in your prayers and anything you can do to spread the word, because what happens is when the media coverage goes away, people are left with a lot of things and picking up the pieces, and I will tell you now that it's the toughest part, the aftermath of it. So I go back to it. I appreciate all your efforts and what you've done. A lot's happened since spring. You think about this spring and summer, it's been a big, busy time for us. First of all, I lost an assistant coach who did a tremendous job for us. He's like a son to me, and I was very happy for A.W. Hamilton that he was able to go on and get a job at Eastern Kentucky, the head coaching job. That being said, I went out and I hired another sharp young man that I've known for a long time, Roy Robinson, who I wanted to kind of follow the model of what we did when we hired A.W. So I wanted a guy who had some high school experience. When you think about Roy, he's been a high school coach for many years, done a tremendous job at Easy Glass High School in Lynchburg, Virginia. So we're excited to have him. I think he brings a lot of experience and value to our program. Injury update. I'm going to talk to you about the two studs that are hurt right now. One of the studs being Manny Bates, the other stud being Kevin Keatts. So you'll have that part of it. Manny's doing better, guys. He'll go to the doctor on Wednesday, and hopefully we get a good report. The toughest thing for Manny is that obviously he set out his senior year, and now he's going to have to do the same thing as a freshman. Hopefully on Monday he'll get some good news. The good news that we hope is that he'll be able to get out his sling a little bit and be able to do some different things. But I have, at a later date, I'll have a little bit more update on what his situation is. As far as me, if there's anybody in this crowd that's 40 or above, I've got some advice for you. Don't play pickup basketball. I told Joe, and Joe's a horrible basketball player, so you guys know that. But I've explained to him, once you get to a certain age, you shouldn't play any type of team sport. You should find some individual sport. Golf will be great. I'm going to now pick up golf. I don't know when I'm going to have time to do that, but I certainly will. But I'm 6 months out from my surgery. You're sitting here on the floor where I thought I was David Thompson, and I figured out quickly that I wasn't. And so, obviously now I'm getting the opportunity. I'm working out a little bit more now. I hope soon that I'll be able to run on the floor. But I will tell you this now, those trick shots that you see, you'll see more of those, but you won't see me playing any more pickup, no 2-on-2, no 3-on-3. As far as our team goes, I'm excited about this bunch. When you think about our team, it's tough because if you think about it, we've only got 3 guys that actually wore NC State jersey last year. And so I don't know if there's anybody in the country that has 10 new guys on their roster. That being said, I'm excited about the bunch because we've got a lot of versatility. I've got a lot of guys that can play a lot of different positions. I know one of the things that you guys love a lot is that you may see a lot of different combinations on the floor that you may not have ever seen before. There's a chance that at times you will see Braxton, Markell, and Blake Harris on the floor at the same time. We will not play conventional basketball this year. You won't see a 6'8" power forward and a 7-foot center. You're going to see all types of different combinations. I like that about this team. The 3 guys that I thought have done a tremendous job so far are the returners. They've all been leaders, and those guys will be Torian Dorn, Markell, and Braxton. And then obviously we got some guys who sit out who I thought has done a tremendous job with C.J. Bryce and Devin Daniels and then Blake Harris. But Excited about the bunch. I look forward to these guys. I'm excited about our schedule. I think we've got a schedule that will prepare us for ACC. I was on the way back over here to do the press conference today, and when you talk about the 4 Power 5 teams that we play, I saw a tweet today from Bruce Pearl that thinks that this may be his best offensive team, which is scary because last year they averaged about 82 points a game. They're returning everybody, so that'll be a great home game for us. They'll come in as a top 10 program. And then obviously we play Vandy on the neutral court, which signed 2 5-star guys, so they should be very good. And then obviously Penn State on the neutral court, and Penn State's the defending NIT champions. And then last but not least, we have to go to Wisconsin and play a 9 o'clock game, which is a tough venue to play in, and they have several guys who are returning. And then, by the way, we start the ACC schedule, and we play 4 of our first 6 games on the road, and then 6 of our 7 next games are against top 25 opponents preseason. So it should be a fun year. Like I said, I think you will really, really enjoy this team. The versatility of what you guys are going to like about it. Braxton Beverly is playing extremely good basketball. He's shooting the ball very well. When you see Markel Johnson, he'll have a little bulk on him. We're trying to figure out which one of these guys. I've got 3 guys that certainly I want to be able to put at the center spot. We got to figure out which one of these guys emerge, but I think all 3 of those guys bring something different to the table. Ian Steele, who's a freshman, has a long ways to go, but he's very physical. DJ Funderburg is a talented young man, played at junior college, and he's probably the best scorer out of the bunch. And then Wyatt Walker, who is obviously transferred from Sanford, is a veteran and knows how to play the game. So once we figure those guys out, I think it'll be exciting basketball to watch. So at this time, I'll take a few questions from you guys.
I know obviously coming into last year, there were probably a lot of people who told you different things about playing ACC basketball and things that you expected. Was there anything that just really jumped out at you that you couldn't really even experience until you did last year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about, we have the best conference in college basketball. And the toughest thing about this conference is when you go down your schedule, some leagues you can go down the schedule and you can predict a win. You can't do that in the ACC. And I guess every coach in the ACC can look at their schedule and say, man, we've got a tough schedule, but there are no days off. It's tough every night. From the top to bottom, you can win every game and you can lose every game.
You mentioned unconventional. Do you have a frequency process? How many guys you want to play? How many minutes? How do you want to break up the minutes? Or will all be a field type deal?
Yeah, Joe, that's a great question. The question comes across, how many guys would I like to play? Ideally, Joe, I like to go into every season playing 10 guys. I would like that type of rotation. Now, obviously, I've said this a long time, the players determine how many guys I play. But I like, if I had my choice right now and you told me we were starting tomorrow, I would have 10 guys that I can play in the game. Now, I only have 11 guys right now that's eligible to play. Obviously, Sasha's sitting out for the year and Manny Bates will be out medical.
Coach, given the slew of new faces, what kind of takeaways do you get from last year that you think can help this group, more versatile group, that you said?
Well, I think, we're going to need those guys who have played in ACC games to be leaders. And they've got to be leaders on the court. They've got to be leaders in the locker room. They've got to do a great job. They know what's expected of me. The only other guy on my roster that has an idea of how I want things done is C.J. Bryce, because he played for me 2 years at Wilmington. But, I think the biggest difference, we lost some guys last year that had, obviously played at NC State. Though they hadn't played in my system, they played before. And so, I'm going to lean on those guys for a lot.
Kevin, given the turnover on this team, and basically having to piece almost a whole new team together, how much is your experience at Hargrave, where you pretty much had a new team every year, how much does that help you prepare for this and to kind of get it together quicker than otherwise?
Well, that's a great softball question, man, because I was going to go back to that. I've said this before. If there's anybody that's used to having a new roster, it's me. I spent those 12 years at Hargrave were so valuable for me, and 10 of those years being a head coach. I had a new roster every year, and so what's happening with us so far, we've used our time wisely, and it's just been about teaching, putting in a new system, explaining guys how hard they have to play, putting in new plays and everything else. So it's worked out. I've got some guys on my staff who obviously had spent time at Hargrave, so they're also used to that.
Kevin, you have a lot of new faces, but two of them with Daniels and Bryce are guys who were with you last year and got to see what you want to do up close. Bryce had played for you. I'm curious how much you think that year helps in getting them maybe off to a fast start, and what are the things you thought they improved on the most?
Yeah, and I would say also not just those guys. We had a chance to, Blake Harris spent a semester with us also, and very grateful that he's eligible right away. But I think it's valuable. The tough part about when you sit out as a transfer, you're the best player on the other team. And so we really don't have a chance to coach you all the time. And so you take bad shots, and you really don't know the system as well as you think that they should. And that's the adjustment that I think Devin and both Blake would have to adjust to.
You inherited a roster last year. I'm just curious how close you were to running the exact system that you wanted with that bunch, and how much closer you get this year with kind of new personnel.
Are you asking me, did I want to put the system in right away?
Exactly how far did you guys get last year into the system that, percentage-wise, maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, if I had to put a percentage on it, I think we ran 75% of what I want to do in my system. Reason being, we didn't have the depth. When you look at this team, out of the 11 guys, I got 7 guys that I feel like I can play in the guard position. At times, we will play 4 guards, so that's a great rotation for us. We didn't get a chance to utilize all our presses. I would love to press it more, mix it up a little bit more, but also I know we played fast, but I want to play faster with this team.
Do you feel like you have the pieces up front that can offset the loss on here?
Well, anytime you lose a guy who averaged 14 and 7, it's a big loss for any type of program. Certainly his size and his ability to make shots is what we'll miss. But I do have 3 guys that I think none of those guys will come in and average 14 points a game, but I think as a 3-headed monster, I think they all have a chance to replace it.
Kevin, you mentioned playing with some unconventional lineups. Is there any model for that? Like, going back in your experience, have you had a team kind of similar to this where you threw some kind of crazy combinations out there before?
Yeah, I did. When I was at Hargrave, because we used to have, my time there, we had 10 years as a head coach, we ended up having 103 guys sign Division I scholarships. But I knew if you guys were all college coaches and you came to a game, I couldn't play just 7 guys. So I wanted to play as many guys as I could so you guys could be able to evaluate them and decide if they were good enough to play in your program. Well, the same thing here, and I did it at Wilmington a little bit. I want 5 guys on the floor to play as hard as they can for as long as they can. Then I want them to put their hand up and say, Coach, I need a break. The way you reward those guys is if they do that, they take themselves out the game. When they're ready to get back in the game, I'm going to try to put them back in. As far as the traditional and playing untraditional a little bit, I think that's where the game has gone. If you look at Golden State, and you look at San Antonio, and you look at different programs in the NBA, nobody plays with a back-to-the-basket center. I think it's only one center left in the NBA that I would consider personally a back-to-the-basket guy, and that's Dwight Howard. Centers now want to be 3-man. Small forwards want to be point guard, so we're going to play unconventional, no-position basketball.
Having Torin Dorn decide to come back, being the guy with the most experience on this team, how important is that for this group?
I was great. I mean, I never thought, just to be fair in the statement, I never thought there was a point that Torin wasn't coming back. I'm very grateful that he had an opportunity to go through the NBA process to kind of figure out where he was at, and so he could work on some things that he needed to do this year to be able to obviously have a chance to play in the NBA after his senior year. But I'm excited for him because if there's anybody I think besides O'Meara who had benefited from the program, I would say it's Torin Dorn. He's had some good non-conference here at NC State, but for the first time, he had a complete year for us.
Yeah, you had some good help last year in grad transfers. What do you expect there? why? I think you mentioned the guys with the play. You know a little bit more about them than maybe some of your other years.
Yeah. Anytime you're bringing in so many new guys, Joe, it's important that you have some older guys. Everybody will tell you a great formula in college basketball is to stay old. When you bring in, obviously Eric Lockett and then Wyatt Walker also, I think the experience those guys have of playing at different universities and playing for 2 or 3 years at different places and under different coaches can help them. They know what help side is. They know how to talk. They're great in your locker room. They're great folks. They're also good students, which means a lot to us.
You've always been successful with player development. What was kind of the to-do list for the 3 transfers while they sat out?
Well, the transfers are tough, and Sasha will go through that this year also. When you sit out, the message that I try to send to these guys is to make every practice your game. And so in every practice, these guys came out like it was their game, and they played well. And they're a huge part of our success. We don't win 21 games, and we don't win 11 games in the conference if it wasn't for those guys pushing us every day. And so it's been important for those guys. They're both, all 3 I should say, are very anxious to play and excited about their opportunity to play.
Kevin, once you get into ACC play, you want a united team. With all the new faces that you've got, how big a challenge is that? And have you done anything so far as team building exercises or anything like that so these guys can get to know each other?
Well, Gary, that's a good question, and it's tough. Last year we had, I thought, a little bit of advantage because we were able to go to Italy on a foreign trip, and we were able to get 10 practices in and then play 3 games. I said this last year, it wasn't so much about the games, it was the opportunity to come together as a team. What I do with these guys now is I try to make them hang out with each other as much as possible and mingle with each other and talk and communicate. One of our biggest things and my biggest challenge as a coach is finding chemistry with these guys.
You know what you're getting from CJ Bryce because you've had him before. What is he going to bring to the table? And is there anything different that you're going to ask him to do that he maybe necessarily didn't do at Wilmington but is maybe a better fit here for this team?
Yeah, he's become a better 3-point shooter since he's been here. When he was at Wilmington, he was capable of making shots from behind the arc, but he was more of a pull-up guy. He's changed his body. I've also challenged him on the defensive end. He knows the system. He's the only guy that I have on my roster that's played for me for a couple of years, even though he didn't play last year. So he knows a little bit more about our system. I think the biggest thing that a guy like CJ brings to the program is he can help the young guys to know what's expected out of them every day from me.
Even though you have so many newcomers, most of these guys are proven commodities. Do you feel like you know your team better than, say, a year ago? And then how much does the return of Markel, point guard, set everything else for everybody else? Yeah,
that's a name that, young man, we haven't talked about a lot. But I want you to think about this. What a tremendous impact that he had on our team last year. It's to go through the ACC and lead the ACC in assists. Markel Johnson's been tremendous for us. He's grown up a lot. When I first got here, he had a lot of things he needed to work on. He's grown up a lot. He's become a better student. He's got, obviously, he's very popular around campus now, and he's done a tremendous job of, working with his teammates and talking more on the court. For me, that's big when you've got, obviously, our point guard is like your quarterback. So when you've got a point guard that certainly has grown up and understands what I'm looking for, then that certainly is going to bode well for us.
Coach, if you had to pinpoint one of the biggest strengths for this team going into this season, obviously we've talked about, unconventional offense, all these different things, but one of the biggest strengths last year was having Alec Freeman be able to shoot on the outside anytime that you needed it. So what is one of the biggest strengths you would think for this team going into this offseason?
Well, I think that we can score at multiple positions. When you look at it, all of these guys are proven scoring. Markel and both Braxton started pretty much last year in the backcourt, and they both average right around 10 points a game. Torian Dorn averaged around 13, 14 points a game, but you're also adding Devin Daniels, who as a freshman at Utah averaged 10 points a game, and CJ Bryce averaged 17. So we've got a lot of guys that I think that we can put in different positions that can score the basketball for us. I felt like last year, Markel wasn't a scorer. He didn't look to score. He looked to pass. Braxton found his way and made some shots for us. But you knew on the perimeter, the guy who could put the ball in the hole was Al Freeman. I don't think you can concentrate on one guy with this team. I think a lot of guys can score.